So we'll close that. Now we'll go over to documents, go to some medication. Now, because of his medical condition, he has a long list of medications he's been on here. So we can go over this with the patient, make sure he understands what type of medication he's been taking, and then just to be sure he truly understands, I'm going to give him this, give him a copy of it, so that he can take it home, read it on his own time, and understand it. Also, if I want to put him on some medication, once again, I can bring it out, explain to him, the risks, and then give it to him, and now he has a copy of it again. And similar to Iris, there are pieces of information here we want to explain to the patient. So Alexander actually has type 1 diabetes, which is probably the underlying cause for many of these problems that he's been having. So we want to give him this educational document that he can read. We can go over with him now, but he can then take it home and fully digest it and understand it. And unfortunately, because of the diabetes, amputation is possibly another likely scenario. So here's a document on amputation surgery. We can go through it with him, make sure he understands it, and then give him that copy so he can once again walk away totally understanding what has been explained to him. And that's the basis of the Microsoft Surface and our application from Infusion.
Cool. So some questions for you would be, everything comes out of, or everything right now is coming out of Microsoft HealthVault.
Amalga and HealthVault.
Amalga and HealthVault.
Yes.
Okay.
HealthVault is the personal health records, which is what the patient would use, and Microsoft has their enterprise operational server, the Amalga system,
okay,
which is what doctors and hospitals use.
Okay. And then ID cards, are those issued when you get? The ID cards, are these issued when you get a Microsoft HealthVault?
Well, because this is a prototype, you can see it on the Surface here.
Yep.
These are using tags, the stickers that the Surface recognizes. Obviously, because this information is sensitive, you can't just have this be the only way of giving information. So that level of depth hasn't been truly, spread out yet, but there are a variety of ways you can do it, because smart cards are probably one of the ways of the future for health cards. You have a little chip on it, and once again, if it gets stolen, you don't want to have it.
Same as the military uses today, the Air Force.
Exactly, yeah. But the Surface, people think that this is just a totally locked down machine that you can't do anything else other than what it has here. This is the basic Windows Vista PC, but then has these touchscreen abilities kind of added onto it. There's actually USB ports here, so we could just plug in a smart card reader, place it on the Surface, and you could use it as an interface device. So that's one of the various things. We honestly don't know, we haven't decided yet the method of doing this, but there are limitless ways.
So instead of a physician having to have a card, you could still use your token-based or active RFID single sign-on systems.
Yes.
Then your patient would still do something like simply just know their medical record or have a medical record card with active RFID or passive RFID.
Exactly.
Then when it comes to the physician interaction in this case, it's been entirely explanation. What about from the aspect of actually doing diagnosis? Is there an interface to be able to use your EMR at the same time in this environment?
Not yet. The possibility is definitely there. If you look at this here, right, if only the doctor was to say sign on, this is like a possibility, but not something that can't be done yet. This could be, for example, a list of his patients. The reason it can't be used for diagnostic purposes quite yet is because the screen doesn't have a high enough resolution. This is only 1024 by 768 and 96 ppi. So you need a much larger resolution to actually be able to ensure that the doctor is doing the proper diagnosis.
You wouldn't be able to do diagnosis with, say, PACS imaging, but as far as, say, your typical clinical visit where they're looking at labs and they're looking at, blood pressure or whatever statistics are, that should work fine.
It can. It's all a question of the legality of it. You're right. Like it displays images, displays them fairly well, I would say. Not to the resolution of some of the high quality stuff that doctors need to use to diagnose. But you're right. In that case, you're kind of suggesting again, it's like a patient is coming in to see some of the results. So because the doctor would have ahead of time diagnosed it maybe using a different device, they can then use this to get their point across.
Yeah, this would be perfect for something like an H&P. You don't need to do diagnostic services, so for any sort of rad lab type of, or any sort of rad imaging. You'd still be able to do complete read.
Exactly.
So, as far as information flow here then, are we talking about everything's coming out of HealthVault? What if we've got somebody who's using Google Health, or if they're completely EHR dependent, so there's no personal health record at that point? Do you need to have an interface between Microsoft HealthVault and, say, your Meditech, Cerner, Epic style EMR to be able to move that information?
The way it works right now is Microsoft is, so like, this is Amalga, this is HealthVault, right? They are pre-existing solutions for storing medical information. So if I wanted to add a record to HealthVault, they have a built-in method of doing that, so I can simply just take this record and say I'd like to add it, and it will automatically get done. You could build shims or other interfaces to say if I was going from Amalga to Google Health, or other possibilities. But strictly, the way of doing that is not localized to the surface. It's just to the application itself. So if they have the ability, we can then use their API to do that. And if, for example, if they come in, they don't have electronic records, we could build in either to the surface if they want to use it for that purpose, or they'd go to a kiosk to first create their account, bring over all those records, and then come here to actually view them with the doctor.
Excellent. Seems like very interesting technology for the future.
The Surface is amazing technology, because the great thing about it is that massive multi-touch has really just started to come forefront recently in a lot of the touchscreen mobile devices. And possibilities what we could do for this are really endless. Because we're using this for healthcare. We've made applications for banks. We've made applications for a casino. We've made applications for yachting companies. It's really, we're just scratching the surface now, though, who can use this. It's only limited by people's imagination. Clients come to us and say, we love multi-touch. Can we do this with this? And we'll say, we've never done it, but we're totally willing to try, because it's always a fun endeavor to take that next step. Like some of the things we've made for this application, this viewer didn't exist until we did this, because there was no need for it for any of the other applications we had. And so it was just cool to kind of see, even this, the slider, you can see how when I put my finger down, it shoots out so that it's not blocking it.
Yep.
We didn't have a need for that for any of our previous applications because we hadn't used it, but we're thinking, how do we make this, what Microsoft calls the NUI, the natural user interface? How do we make it, cool, but still actually usable by the everyday person? We don't want to make it like a mouse, where a mouse is a metaphor for something on a computer. We want to make it that if someone touches this, they now have an idea. Oh, if I move it back and forth now, it's like a slider. If I put my finger down and move this around, it'll actually follow. We don't want to make it so that they have to relearn how to interact with the surface. We want this just to be a metaphor for the physical world.
Now, right now, Microsoft HealthVault is in beta. And how about Amalga?
I would not be the person who's going to ask about that. Okay. I'm with Infusion, so I know. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not quite sure how long it's for Amalga is.
Okay. Then how about the Surface in general? I mean, there's availability.
Its availability is out. It's only available through certified resellers of Microsoft. So you go to someone like Infusion, say you wanted an application that does X, and then we would quote you, and we would provide the service as part of kind of the package. So you would buy them through us, which would then also get you the application that gets deployed on it.
So really the hardware's all there, and really the question comes down to is for healthier the availability of Microsoft HealthVault for the patient, so for their PHR, and then the availability of capability, should I say, to be able to integrate whatever the EMRs are, EHRs.
Yeah, it's the hardware's there, the interaction is all there. It's then the back end, exactly what can they do, what can they store.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, very cool.
Awesome.